Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cynthia if you are new here. And today we are back. We are back with another reading vlog. I'm very excited about this one. So Reckless by Lauren Roberts is the second book in the Powerless series. I believe it's going to be a trilogy. And so far there's book 1, Powerless, 1.5, a sort of novella type story about our main character's best friend, which is 1.5, titled Powerful. And then we have book 2 in the series titled Reckless, which published I believe July 7th. So fairly recently. I put a hold on it as soon as I remembered that it published. And my original hold time it wasn't too bad. I believe it was 3 weeks. But last night I got a notification from the library that I could early if I only borrowed it for a week. At my library, a normal hold is 14 days, so skipping the line means that I get it for 7. And I did a little bit of math earlier, and in order to finish this book in 6 days, I would have to read about 183 pages per day. And after not reading anything in June, can I read a book in a weekend? More specifically, can I then read a 500-page book in a week? There are a lot of factors. There are a lot of factors to contend with. It's not linear at all. But I also have a Powerless reading vlog for the first book, as well as a no spoilers video, because I don't want to ruin the fun. Also, a quick note that this video will have spoilers, so if you don't want spoilers, please just click off. Like, ruin my click-through rate, ruin my watch time. It's fine. Just click off the video and go watch the non-spoiler video. I will have everything linked below. I'll probably put cards up here. Like, you can't miss it, I promise. But the only other thing that will be different from the first video is that I, one, have a better mic. So I apologize for the audio quality of all of my previous videos before I got this mic because I love it. I have a Kindle now. Have I shown you my Kindle stickers? So I did send my library book to my Kindle, and if you're curious, currently I am reading Shadow and Storms by Helen Schurer, which is the 4th book in the Legends of Thesmar series, but that's a video for another day, because if you think I'm not going to talk about the Legends of Thesmar series, you are wrong. I do also have a video on the first 2, just a heads up. So if you're curious about my thoughts on, no, the first 3, I'm sorry, I lied. Not on purpose. But I do have a video on the first 3 books if you're interested in my thoughts on those. I will also link that somewhere in here. I pretty much spent all of May reading through the Legends of Thesmar series thus far, and now I'm on the final book and I'm having lots of feelings about it. So without getting too sidetracked, that will be a topic for another day. As for now, I'm excited to dive in. I'm excited to read on my Kindle. I am also excited to see what our characters have been up to since the first book. I believe this book picks up right where the first book left off. I'm hoping it does, because there was a lot that happened at the ending of the first book. So I'm excited to dive right in. And other than that, I don't have any other housekeeping, but like I said, this video will have spoilers. This is your final warning to click off this video. But anyways, let's just dive right in. I think if there was one major downside to reading on a Kindle, it's that when there are maps and family trees, it's so hard to read. It's so hard to read. I feel like I'm on the struggle bus right now. Okay, so just a brief little intermission. I am about 15% into Reckless, and I'm still not really a fan of the writing. I don't like that it's written in first person, but I can't tell if it's because I don't like the writing or I don't like the fact that this story is told in first person. I don't know which one it is, but I'm just kind of struggling with the writing. I also don't understand why Peyton keeps apologizing for stabbing when that's her whole personality. And I mean, I am trying to keep it into perspective because the ending of the first book for Pei, I can imagine, was very, very traumatic. Between Kit, Kai, and Pei definitely got the most trauma out of the first book of the 3. You can't change my mind. Between learning the truth about her father, assuming that's the truth, learning the truth about Kai, assuming that's the truth, you know, having Adina die in her arms, knowing that Adina was so important to her, is just kind of like, ooh. And then the only other people you thought you could trust now want you dead or alive. I mean, alive. The posters say dead or alive, so. And it just, that feeling of just being injured and alone, and not even just physically injured, like mentally, emotionally, everything. Pei is definitely at her lowest at this point, and I feel for her. really do. I don't know how I'm feeling about Kit and Kai. Kai is very repetitive in his kind of like thoughts, and it's kind of getting a little annoying. Like I'm only 15% in, and I've already skimmed like 3 times because I'm just like, why do you keep writing the same thing over and over again? Like I read the first book. If you wanted me to remember what happened, why didn't you just write a recap? But I'm also not liking Kit in this book, and I have a feeling I'm not going to like Kit in this book, but I'm also very curious as to how is this like weird triangle gonna play out? Like how Pei going to end up with one of them? Is she going to end up with one of them? She might not. I mean, in my mind, Pei and Kai are 100% endgame. Like Kit is just there for the drama. And it is what it is, but I don't know. I'm gonna take a quick break though. I'm gonna get a snack. I was just gonna grab something from the kitchen, but I think I'm gonna go out and get something because I don't think I'm leaving the house today. So I think it would be nice to like get out for a minute, you know? Me too. Okay, I had to stop for a second because you're telling me that Pei, after everything she went through at the end of the first book with the cane and all the fighting and the last trial she was in, to then, I think the timeline so far has been a week and a half. So in a week and a half, and mind you, Pei was already like beaten up and bruised and bloody and in really bad shape when this book started. And that had been a few days after she left the kingdom where she killed the king. Goes back to her old stomping grounds. Takes her a few days to get there. So she's there, she's looking for resources, whatever. She gets them all gathered. Kai manages to catch up with her. She manages to escape, gets injured, then treks through the desert, which I think takes her another few days, and she's even in worse shape. Then she's had a couple days in, because now she's in Dor, which is one of the cities across the desert from Ilya. And now she's gonna fight because she needs money. So did all of her injuries just poof, just magically disappear? I'm so confused. She's in such rough shape, and I get it. She's having a hard time thieving here. I'm just gonna put it down before I like fling it across the room. I understand that she's having a hard time thieving here like she would in Loot. Has the stab wound in her thigh even healed? Is she really in good shape to be getting back into the ring? Also, could Lauren Roberts, can she like not handle the violence anymore? Because literally after Pei does something violent or has a violent thought, she's immediately like apologetic and nauseous. And it's like, this feels almost like backtracking from the first book where she was so unapologetically stabby. And I mean the main character Pei, not the author. I don't know much about the author, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I don't know. This is gonna be interesting because just all those injuries and now she's getting in the ring to earn money. Also, how's she gonna hide her hair? I guess we'll find out. I guess I'll find out. Okay, just a quick update to my previous rant. She ties the scarf really tightly around her head to hide her hair. Now we both know. They did it. They did it! They finally kissed! My biggest gripe with Powerless was that I felt like I was on fire. The slow burn tension never came to a crest. It just constantly just burned. And I felt like I was burning. And I was like, if we don't get something in Reckless, I am not finishing this series. I will boycott it. Thank you. Thank you to Lauren for giving us what we finally needed. It does feel, I will say it, out of place, but I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. Okay. This is one of those moments where this feels like one of those moments where the plot, the storyline, the purpose just goes out the fucking window. Pardon my language. But we are 40% in. Kai is bringing Pei back to Ilya. They're in the desert. And now the resistance shows up. But at the beginning of the book and at the end of the first book, when Pei was... But yet at the beginning of the book, when Pei actually needed them, they were nowhere to be found. I honestly hate the resistance. Like, I feel, and I know I'm probably saying that a little too prematurely because, I mean, showing up 40% into the book, like, what's the point? But I honestly dislike the Resistance. I disliked them in the first book because they served no purpose. They showed up like halfway, I think a little bit past halfway in the first book. They clearly did not care about Pei because they let her go live in the slums until it was convenient for them to find her for their purpose, despite her father playing like a major role in the Resistance, whatever. And I really hate them. It's like the author added the resistance in the book because every story needs some sort of Robin Hood. I get it, but like these people suck. They're never there for Pei when she actually needs them. And now they're just showing up to save her from Kai. Like, are you kidding me? Also, can I also just say before I wrap this up because I don't want to talk for 10 minutes, but can we just like stop with the knife against the throat? Can Pei please, just for the love of God, just stop with the knife against the throat, with the I'm gonna kill you, with the just, oh my God. Oh my God. I was starting to get into this book, and then the resistance showed up. And now I just kind of wanna DNF it. I'm gonna read a little bit more and then I'm gonna take a break because I'm getting a little annoyed, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna read a little more and then we'll continue this tonight. Okay, I lied. I didn't take a break. I continued to read a little more and I kind of regret it because now things are just kind of getting stupid. So I'm almost halfway through and so far, Pei has left Ilya to go to Door, tried to start her career as a fighter, got found by Kai. They started to head back to Ilya, got found by what was left of the resistance, went to some refugee camp for like half-breeds, I guess. The children of elites and ordinaries procreating. Also, yes, Pei used the word procreating instead of just saying having children. That's gonna live rent-free in my head for a while. And now they've been kidnapped by Raphael, the guy who ran the underground fighting club, and skimming through kids chapters because they're boring. Okay, I'm sorry, they are. Kids POV is so boring. Like he's such a baby. He's so annoying. And now Callum, and correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Callum the leader of the now non-existent resistance? Why is he giving a box to Kit? I'm so confused. I don't know what's going on. Everything that's happening, like it just feels like it doesn't make sense. It's kind of starting to bother me. If I'm being honest. Like, I don't know. Like, things keep happening. Like, I don't understand. And I also kind of feel like there are some things thrown in, like the last bit of the resistance showing up to save Pei from Kai, even though he goes with them to like the halfling refugee camp. I feel like that was thrown in literally just to explain to us how like powers work and how they're gifted down and things like that. But it was so weird and unnecessary, and it's introducing characters that are they even going to be in the story later, or were they just convenient to answer the questions we had about the first book? And I feel like it could have been done so differently. And I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm just getting cranky because I need a break. I've been reading like all morning. Like I said, I'm halfway through. I was really hoping that this book would be better than the first book. It is unfortunately looking like it's going to be added to the list of sucky sequels, and that list is quite long, which is very disappointing. Why is it so hard to write sequels? I don't get it. But yeah, I think I'll try to read a little bit more tonight and then really try to like push through and finish tomorrow so we can wrap it up. Hi, hello. It is much later. I definitely put the book down and took a much needed break. Not gonna lie, it was getting to me a little bit, just a little bit. I'm hoping though that by this point, since we're about halfway through, the book will either turn it around and get better, or it's just gonna keep going downhill. I don't know which direction it's gonna go. Gonna push through it either way because I already started filming. I really don't want to end this one on a DNF. So I'm gonna go read and I will update you before I go to sleep. I like genuinely just don't even know like where to begin. Like if I'm being honest. So we're about 80%. I read a solid chunk. I read like 30% more. I have about 80% left to the story, and the plot in the last 30%, like 50% to 80%, the plot solely revolved around Kai and Pei getting closer. And you can't like you can't change my mind. You cannot convince me otherwise because I just wouldn't believe you. I'm still very confused about the box that Callum gave to Kit. It's apparently small enough to fit in a pocket. Is it poison? I don't know where this is going. Also, how is Callum not like in jail? He was one of the leaders of the resistance. Like, am I missing something? I feel like I'm missing something. Or, I don't know, maybe the author just left something out and we're just left to figure it out on our own. But there aren't enough context clues to figure it out on my own. Here we are. But Kit's chapters are very short and they're kind of just annoying at this point because we're not really getting anything other than the fact that Kit is sad, angry, and a little confused because now it's been over 2 weeks. Kai and Pei still aren't back, and you can't tell me that a very big chunk of this book is literally just them flirting with each other. I also realized about 60% in, I don't like Pei. That girl is so annoying. And I'm not giving Kai like all these passes because he's kind of annoying too, but he's just so like sarcastic and flirty and funny, and he lightens up the mood so much that whenever Pei then turns around and is like, "Oh, well, I hate you," it's like, "Oh my God." Like, give it a break. Okay? Like, give it a break. We get it. We get it. You've been through some shit, and now she's been through even more shit, and she can't catch a break, and I get it. But, like, goddamn girl, like, I don't know. She's just kind of getting on my nerves, and I'm very ready for her to, I don't know, just go through some, like, character development. Girl needs a big character development arc. Like, please, please, I'm begging you. Lauren Roberts, please. Give Give Pei the character arc she deserves, that we deserve as the readers. A lot has happened, but also not a lot has happened. And when I say a lot has happened, I mean a lot has happened in terms Kai and Pei's relationship, not relationship. And I'm still trying to figure out where Kit falls into like all of this because he's just at the palace sulking. He's not doing anything. He's writing on parchment and crying and not eating, and everyone thinks he's gone mad, and he's like, "Good, let them think I've gone mad." And I'm just like, confusion. A lot of confusion. I am tired. And surprisingly, we will be finishing this book tomorrow. There's 20% left. I am ready to get it done because don't get me wrong, I have a lot of criticisms. I'm a very critical person sometimes. Without a doubt, Kai is my favorite character. Like, I want to give Homeboy a hug. He needs one. So does Kit. Kai needs one the most. I do like their tension. I like that this book, while still not necessarily spicy, they're at least like kissing. Pei is just still so resistant, and I want her to kind of trust herself and let go a teeny tiny bit. I do understand that things are very tense and the stakes are very high, and there's a lot going on. And I don't want to be a hater. Sometimes I like being a hater, but in this instance, I don't want to be a hater. So I will say, I do like Kai and Pei. Pei when she's calmed down. But I love Kai. I'm also interested as to why the author added in the story about their younger sister into this book, why she felt Ava was important in this part of the story. I'm very confused. Also, I have a sinking feeling that I know exactly where Pei's story is heading because the chapter that I just read, Pei reads her father's journals where she finds out that her father wasn't her father. Her mother wasn't her mother. She was dropped off at his doorstep. And I'm just like, here we go. Here we go. I've heard this one a million times before. So I'm gonna go to bed. We'll pick this back up tomorrow. Hello, good morning. I have changed my shirt from my black pajama shirt to my black everyday shirt. Not wearing the same shirt as last night. Just wanted to preface that because, I don't know, I just felt like prefacing it. But hello, good morning. I am very ready to not only continue Reckless, but also to finish it. There are a lot of things that I haven't figured out and I really want to figure out, like the whole Callum and Kit thing. I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand what this little box is. My brain is just not braining in terms of like what it could be. I know that Callum is very power hungry. I could see him wanting to take Kit off the throne, get out of his way. I don't know. I honestly don't know where it's heading. And the revelation that Pei got in the last chapter, I'm just kind of like, great, here we go. Like as if there weren't already so many elements of this story that feel borrowed from other bigger fantasy romance stories. I'm a little disappointed. And to be quite honest, I am having a lot of doubts if I want to continue this series, because as much as I'm intrigued and fascinated and enticed by the romance between Kai and Pei, and even just Kai as a character. Like, I love Kai, okay? Kai can do no wrong. I mean, he obviously can do wrong, but he can do no wrong. Like, he is a baby. He needs a hug. I just love him, okay? I'm kind of at a point where the first book felt very, like, Hunger Gamesy. This book feels kind of all over the place. Like, the plot just feels very convoluted, if I'm being honest. And everything feels like it's just happening for convenience for Kai and Pei, even though I have a feeling that the love triangle hasn't ended, despite us getting like 5% of Kit in this story in the castle sulking. Like, I don't know. We'll see. But I'm ready to finish it. So I'm going to dive back in and I will see you once I finish it. I'm just going to power through the last 20% because I did get to 80% last night. So I'm going to power through the next 20%. To you, I'll see you momentarily. To me, it's probably going to be like an hour or two. So I will see you in a moment. Also, just a kind of like side note, I think earlier I mentioned that there was a whole thing with the king and the ordinaries and the healers where the ordinaries were draining like the elite's powers over time by producing children that were mixed. So half ordinary, half elite. It was essentially weakening the elite's like genetics, I guess, and the powers that they would kind of be able to get. Whatever. But now I'm later in the book and they're saying that that was a lie, that ordinarios are not diseased. They don't have diseased blood. And there's no reason why ordinarios and elites can't build families together and continue to pass on powers and whatever. So that kind of tripped me up a little bit, if I'm being honest, especially because it was written in Pei's father's journal and I kind of don't know who to trust anymore, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't trust anyone in this book or this series. So while I definitely trust Pei's father more than I trust the king, I'm also hesitant because Pei's father for a little while clearly was in the king's pocket, and considering the fact that he worked with Callum for so long, and the only personality trait that I can sense from Callum is that he's power hungry and a sneak, doesn't really make me think too highly of Pei's father other than just him being her father. So whatever I said about that earlier in the video, I guess disregard because now the point is kind of mute. But I'm gonna get back to this because I'd really like to finish reading this book. All right, so now that I've had a second to process my feelings on Reckless, I have quite a few of them. I'm not sure how I feel about this book, honestly. It feels kind of 50-50. It could honestly go either way in terms of rating. Probably going to end up giving it, I guess, a 3.5. That feels wrong, but 4 feels like too high, so maybe a 3.75 out of 5 because some of the things I did like, because I could rant all day about the things I did not like. So we're going to start with the things that I did like. For example, I really love Kai and Pei. I love their relationship. I love how it's developing. I love how honest Kit is. And it kind of dawned on me towards like the last part of the book when Kit and Pei are in the poppy field. It felt so much, reminded me so much of the dynamic between Cardan and Jude from The Cruel Prince, where towards more like the last book, Cardan starts to really open up with Jude about like his feelings and he's kind of a little bit like romantic about it and Jude is just still kind of like, ew, shut up. And it just kind of reminded me of that where Jude and Pei are kind of coming to this realization of like, oh shit, like he's in love with me and I'm in love with him, because they are very young. I believe Kai is 19 and Pei is soon to be 18. She kept alluding to like almost 18 years, so I'm just going to assume that her birthday in the book is coming up and she's going to be 18 soon. They're still very, very young, and even Jude and Cardan are very, very young, so I'm going to stop the comparison there. But it just reminded me a lot of the dynamic of Cardan and Jude. And I actually found that I really enjoyed it. And don't get me wrong, The Cruel Prince Book 1 is a straight up bully romance. You cannot change my mind. I was not a fan of it. What I did like about the series, which I'm hoping I will also like about this series, is that Cardan and Jude evolve, not just as characters, but their relationship evolves with them, which is an aspect that I found I really enjoyed. So I'm kind of hoping that this book kind of follows that. But at the same time, you also have to remember that Kit is a factor, and bro, I felt so stupid. I felt so stupid thinking this whole time that Callum wanted like Kit to off himself, and the little box was a little thing of poison because Callum wanted to either take over the throne or he had someone in mind for the throne. He had to get Kit out of the way. Yeah, I'm an idiot, okay? I did not think that it was an engagement ring. I feel a little dumb. Just a little stupid. Me, a little stupid. Like I said, I sometimes just don't see things coming. Like sometimes I just don't have the brain power to expend and really like go detective, you know? But I genuinely, I don't know, what's the point? Like, I understood the love triangle aspect in Powerless because it made sense, you know? Pei needed Kit and Kai for two different reasons. And of course, the more they got to know each other, the more they liked each other. And so it made sense, even though I didn't like it because they're brothers, to have this sort of like love triangle going on. But in the second book, where we're literally just watching Kai and Pei fall in love with each other while pretending not to fall in love with each other. And then Kit at the end being like, she's a traitor. She killed the king who was my father. She ruined my life. She's also my bride. What? What? What is going on? What is happening? And I feel like I also kind of had the same reaction at the end of Powerless, where I was just like, what the fuck is happening? So I don't know. I feel very bad for Kai though. I was like, damn. Like, damn, that is gotta like that's honestly probably a worse fate than Kit sentencing Pei to death, because at least like if she's dead, she's dead. You know, Kai's just haunted by the memory of Pei, whereas if she's alive and married to Kit, he's gotta watch his brother marry the love of his life? Dude, that is cold. That is cold. Also, I do also just want to say, I was not aware of how young the author is. So at the end of the book, in the acknowledgments, I normally skip the acknowledgments. Like, I don't care about all the people you have to thank. I usually just skip it. But I started reading it, and I knew in Powerless that the author had dropped out of college to write this book, but I assumed she was maybe like 20. I didn't realize she wrote Powerless when she was 18. And so I feel like some of my criticisms in terms of the writing quality kind of aren't fair, because Homegirl still has teen in her age, you know? Like, I'm judging essentially a child. And so I did just kind of want to touch on that because I felt kind of bad. You know, it's different when it's maybe an author who's older, maybe in their like mid 20s and up. It's a lot easier to be a little bit more critical of bad writing. And I'm also not saying that this is completely a pass for Lauren Roberts, but I do also think it should be noted that if you're going to slam this book for the writing quality, you might want to remember that she wrote the first book as a teenager who dropped out of college. And so if you're expecting the next great American novel from it, please just look elsewhere. So I'm not going to knock the writing style or criticize it too heavily, but that I but I am taking that into account, those factors of her age and circumstances and etc. So back to Reckless. Hi, hello, editing Cynthia here. For some reason, file with my like final thoughts and outro got completely corrupted and I can't do anything with it, unfortunately, so I just figured I would stop by here and just let you know that I really wasn't a fan of this book. If a friend asked me if they should read it, I would say no, and I know that's kind of harsh, but it is the truth. I think I ended up rating it 3-ish stars out of 5 stars. I'm gonna leave it at that because, to be honest, I'd probably rate it closer to 2 stars, but I don't like constantly changing my rating. So 3-ish stars out of 5 stars. It was a ride. Wasn't really a fun ride. Like, I wanted to get off that roller coaster, but here we are. So gonna leave it there. Gonna wrap up. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one.